because our deepest wounds often reveal our greatest purpose. Welcome to the Court of Connection, the very first episode. Danielle Cobb, I am your host. I'm so grateful to be here. I'm grateful for this opportunity. Thank you so much, Shody Media. I had no intention of being under a network. It was totally divinely guided. I met them through a mutual friend, and I thought, no, I'm not gonna, pay to be on someone's network, blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't even know what that means. Like, I'll just record myself and figure it out. And then the still small voice said, go have lunch with them. And so I did. I had lunch with them. We had such a great time. I connected immediately with them, and it all just worked out perfectly. And I really hope y'all know I'm so grateful for this opportunity and for your guidance and support throughout this, and for pushing me, Shelly. Shelly is my beautiful Virgo who is a go-getter, and I fawn a little bit. Like, I fawn a little bit when it comes to this stuff because I'm just like, ooh, when she's like, okay, you're going to have to get back on social media. You're going to have to build a presence. You're going to have to do this. You're going to have to do that. Everything inside of me was like, oh my gosh, I've been in hibernation. I don't want to do this. This old pattern of mine to play small, you know, don't take up space. It was challenging all of those things in me. And so thank you. Thank you, God, for connecting me to a woman who's like, hey, girl, you need to do this. Hey, girl, you need to do that. Just staying on me. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, in my intro, I described a little bit about what the Court of Connection, what the vision of it is. And, when I look back on my life, even before my spiritual journey started, I was always a girl who felt like there was more to life, that there was more than what the eye can see, that things have deeper meaning. I've never been a small talk girl. I am the girl who meets you and wants to know what time you were born, what city you were born in, what's your date of birth, so that I can know your astrology signs, your human design, your all of those things. That is who I am. I don't want to talk about the weather. I don't want to know what your favorite color is. I don't like, that's just not me. And so, prior to beginning my spiritual journey, I'll just tell a little bit about that. Um, I'm an alcoholic, I'm an addict. It's a small part of my story, but it is a part of my story. And it has helped shape me and catapult me on this spiritual journey. And for that, I'm so grateful. But life leading up to that moment was not cute, was not pretty. I was a hot mess. It just felt like life was happening to me. I felt like the book of life was given to everybody but me. I was an overweight kid. I was adopted. I had all of these things that like created these labels that set me apart, At least that's what I thought. It made me different. And I would look at the world, and I would look at people in my life and friends and other people and just think, man, if I had what they had, I would be okay. If I looked like she looked, I would be okay. If I, and that was just my mentality. And I set me on a journey. I found substances and alcohol pretty early on, and they were my saving grace. They saved me from this mind of mine that was quite literally trying to kill me all the time. And I have 10 years of sobriety now, and I couldn't say that whenever I rolled up into rehab that I was thrilled to be there. My life was in shambles. I was 23 years old. I My hair was to my chin. It was orange. I was 110 pounds soaking wet. My friends were deeply concerned about me, the ones that I had left. I hadn't had a job in 3 years. My male stripper boyfriend was taking care of me. He worked at a gay strip club, by the way. So there's that. So needless to say, life was insane. And I didn't see a way out. I didn't see a way out of the mental hell that I was in. I didn't see a life out like beyond where I was at then. And so, fast forward, I end up on this journey of recovery and then then all the other things start cropping up, right? My eating disorder, my um, horrible ability to be a good friend, a good partner, a good daughter, all of these things. I felt like I had to relearn or learn how to be a woman walking on this planet. I felt like an alien. And, someone who, when I look back at my childhood, I was a girl who was a little girl, shout out to my parents. I have the best parents in the world. I really do. I cherish and value the relationship that I have with them today. It's so special. My parents are definitely gifted spiritually. And I feel like the generation before me tends to be a little bit more narrow-minded. Not all of them, but a lot of them by design. That's just where they came from, right? And so when I can call my mom or call my dad and talk about um the mysteries of Mary Magdalene and the current tarot card readings that my dad's listening to online, and just like talking about the astral planes, and like what a gift. But growing up, they just weren't the best partners for each other, and I think we can all agree today, like with love, and laugh with love about it. But it created some tension in my home. It created some people weren't happy. And I just became this sweet little angel girl who learned how to uh, just be the good girl, make people happy, do whatever to be the light, be positive. And what that did for me as an adult is I was a woman of a million faces. I was a chameleon. I had no real identity, and so when I got sober, I was met with all these really uncomfortable parts of myself that I had to look at. There was no escaping them anymore. I didn't have substances. I didn't have anything to numb the the painful reality of my existence. I realized, oh my God, like no wonder I drank, no wonder I used, because the pain that I felt from the mind and the chatter of the mind and the ego and all the stories that the ego told me were um, exhausting and mean, and nobody would want to live with that kind of mind. And so, you know um, also being a girl who grew up, um, like I said, from a very young age, like I was very overweight as a little girl in elementary school, middle school, high school, most of high school. And so I had all of these things standing in the way of the woman that I wanted to be, right? The woman I so desperately craved to be, a woman who was comfortable in her skin, who loved who she was, that didn't feel like she had to pretend or be somebody she wasn't in a moment, in a conversation, in a room, that didn't feel like I had to run around and, make people like be positive, and I just had no worth outside of that, you know? I didn't know how to show emotion. I'm a Scorpio moon for any of my astrology people out there. Like I am by design just like a naturally secretive person. I'm a deep, deep world of emotion internally, and Scorpio moon just means like, yeah, I don't want to be exposed. My emotions being out there and being vulnerable is like, I'm good. You stay over there. Let's just all pretend I'm happy. And and so learning how to navigate life as a sober person was just the very beginning of my journey. And I think about this. There was this moment at Wildwood Women's Conference, and it's a cool little conference where all kinds of women come, and it's like a hippie kind of like sacred space that we share where we do arts and crafts, and there's workshops, and there's speakers, and there's music, and there's sitting around the fire, and all of these things. And it was my first year, and I'm going to tell this story because it held a lot of significance for my journey. Um, but I remember arriving, and my mentor, she's been my mentor for the past 11 years. She had some other mentees there, and we were so excited to be there, and had never done Wildwood before. And um, for anyone who knows her, she is. I've sat across from this woman so many times in gut wrenching pain and despair, and she looks at you and says, "I'm so excited for you." Oh, excuse me? I remember I remember looking at her sometimes and being like, "What is wrong with her?" And now I'm that woman. I do that with my mentees now because I understand. Our pain is our greatest purpose. It uncovers the truth. It is the catalyst. It is the gift, because without it, we don't know what joy and excitement and surrender and all of those things are. Without it, we don't know what the other is like. And it provides this jumping off place, this um, jumping into the unknown. And every single time that I've sat across from her and had that same, look of despair, and she has said that to me, when I look back on my life, every single one of those moments has given me a beautiful gift, a deeper knowing, a deeper amount of wisdom, a profound experience. And so one of the things that we did is called the Circle of Stones. And she was kind of prepping us for it. And she said she was so excited because that's her nature. And she's like, "This is the best part of the whole thing. Like, I just want you guys to, like, I'm not going to tell you too much, but you're going to hold hands. And if you cry, just let the tears fall down. Don't let go of each other's hands. Allow yourself to be seen, blah, blah, blah." Right. And as a girl who never cried for most of her life, I was such a bottler. You can ask my mom. I would store up emotion, store up emotion, store up emotion, and then I would lose my shit, and that was my extent of processing. And it happened maybe once or twice a year. And so I'm like, yeah, 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 it won't be me, right? It's not going to be my experience. Um, but I'll play along. And so I'm going to paint the picture for you guys here. Circle of Stones is the elders are considered the women who've been to this conference for 3 or more years. They stand in the middle of the circle and they face outwards holding hands. So they're facing everyone else that's not an elder. So the rest of us who've been, if it's our first or second year at this conference, stand around them facing inward, looking at them. And so it creates this really like circle within a circle. And what they do is the circle moves in opposite directions, and these women, these beautiful women, are just witnessing you on a soul level, like with so much sovereignty, so much love, right? And they'll do a chant and read an excerpt out of the book Circle of Stones. And I remember the first reading, I'm going to butcher it, but it was something like this. It said, "What if when you were young, there was a place of women who felt safe in their emotion, who opened up a space for you to be all that you are, the good, the bad, the ugly. They held space for that, sacred space for that. They encouraged that. How might your life be different?" And I had a visceral experience. When I tell you that I cried the tears of the first, I don't know, how old was I then? It was probably like 27, 28. The first 28 years of my life, I was scream crying. I had, it was like all of the energy from deep within me came up, and I started screaming and I couldn't stop. And I was mortified because remember earlier when I told you I was not somebody who showed her emotions very well other than positivity and happiness? Yeah. So here I am, a woman completely exposed, terrified, and just being witnessed on a soul level by these elders. And I have my best friend on one side, I have my other really close friend on the other, and I'm squeezing their hands, and I remember turning away. And I just looked away and I was like, this is too fucking much. I cannot be seen on this level. Like I wanted to like run for the hills. It was the worst. And then all of a sudden I got hit in the side of my head with this loud, direct voice that said, let them see you. And it said it again, let them see you. And I was like, I took a deep breath. I opened my eyes. I continued to scream cry. And I watched the ego. I watched the ego say all kinds of things. It said, oh my God, you're ruining this for everyone. Shut up, quit crying. You're screaming. Nobody can even think. Stop, stop. Right. And I just kept anchoring in. And these women just, I mean, I cannot even explain. It was like all the love of the universe pouring into my eyes. Just so much, like they felt me and they held it with so much power. And that experience unlocked this part of me that had been hiding for so long. It was the moment in my journey where I realized that I can't imagine a life without women to carry me through these moments, carry me through these times. I say this a lot when I'm mentoring people or talking to people. I came in as a woman who was a guy's girl, right? Because that just felt more comfortable to me. What I didn't know is I was deeply terrified of women. I felt so insecure. I did not feel good enough. And not that I didn't have women friends, but up until that point, I feel like the relationships that I had with most women were pretty surface level. And they didn't go too deep. Or I would go deep with you, but you didn't really know what was going on with me. I feel like that's a more accurate description. Because I always had close friends, but I never gave them the opportunity to fully see me. And so it was in that moment where I realized that if I have any chance, if I ever want to be the woman that I want to be, if I ever want to overcome the things in my life that have been standing in the way of that wish, of that desire, that I had to let go and I had to learn how to allow myself to be fully seen. And so it set me on this journey of authenticity. And because I was always a woman who could hold beautiful space for my friends, but I had no idea how to receive that. I had no idea how to tell my best friend, can you just hold me? Like, I just need to cry. Like, that felt foreign to me, though it was something I could do so easily for others. You see, because we all have a wounded masculine and a wounded feminine part of us. Those two energies balance out and they make the whole human. And we're all wounded. That energy in us is wounded for different reasons, right? But the divine feminine is when she is anchored fully in the divine feminine. She is easily able to drop into her body, which is key number one, I was overweight my whole life. So being in my body was the last place I wanted to be. Makes sense, right? Why that would be so hard to get in touch with that part of me. And she feels safe in her receiving. She feels safe in her ability to receive from the world. And then the wounded masculine part of me, right, is the part that's like, do. I got to do to earn love. I got to, I have shitty boundaries and, all of these things. And so it set me off on this journey of healing those parts of myself. And, gosh, I'm a woman today who is such an advocate for sisterhood. Like I I believe that we were designed to need each other. We were. It's not that I believe it as facts. We were designed to need each other. And I always laugh with my girlfriends. I'm like, if I had to choose between a man or you guys, I would choose you. And I know I can have both, but it's just a joke because that is how much it means to me. So that set me on a journey, and the unfolding of my spiritual journey, or the journey home to myself, has been painful and beautiful and um, really messy, and all of the things in between. And that is, and I've come across so many different modalities and Kundalini activation process and meditation and I am consciousness and all of these different things, and they have played such a role in my remembrance, my coming home to myself, my waking up to my true nature, which is that I am whole and complete now. There's nothing I need to do to change that. Look at me right now. If you're watching a video, I want you to look at me. There is literally nothing that you need to do to change who you are to be more worthy or more valuable than you already are in this moment. There is nothing to do. Can you believe that? What comes up in you when I say that? Because if you would have asked me that even 3 months ago, I would have told you, no, I feel like I would feel more worthy if this, right? I would feel okay if this, fill in the blank. And I am here to tell you that it is the biggest lie. It is the absolute journey of the humans to come back to this remembrance. And so that's what this podcast is. I'm talking to a bunch of beautiful souls, meeting new people, storytelling, interviewing, uncovering teachings and modalities and experiences that have really helped me on that journey. And I can confidently sit here and tell you today that I'm so grateful for every single thing that has happened in my life. My soul literally came down here. It chose the body I was in. It chose the family I was going to have. It chose every relationship I was going to be in, every friendship that I would have, the jobs, every single thing in my life. I already knew was going to happen. I already knew it. It was written in the stars. I made an agreement with all of these people. I said, hey, so I'm reincarnating again because there's some lessons I didn't learn in my past life. And I'm going to need you to help bring up those wounds in me in this lifetime so that I can work through those things. And that is the freedom. That is the gift in understanding that truth, because that takes the responsibility off of everybody else. It takes the responsibility completely away. And in fact, it turned my belief or my perspective around every single person I come in contact with as a gift. Like, God, thank you. Thank you for putting this person in my life to show me that there is still work in me. Thank you for creating that painful relationship, that painful interaction, that painful experience, so that I can see where I am still not, my soul is still not corrected in these areas. And I think, like I mentioned in the beginning, I walked around this world with such a victim complex until I started this journey. And it makes me think about that quote in the Bible, the truth will set you free. See, I always thought that was like for y'all. The truth will set you free. Better tell the truth. No. The truth that they're talking about is being able to see the truth, to recognize that I am looking through a lens of complete delusion. I'm looking through the lens of the ego. And that's the fight back home. That's the journey back home, is to uncover all of the crap standing in the way, whether it was from trauma, conditioning, societal conditioning, conditioning from growing up, whatever it is, right? We're all looking through our own lenses. But there is only one truth. And that is that you are whole, complete, perfect, exactly the way that you are. And you just have to get all of the old beliefs out of the way. That is the remembrance. That is the journey home. I cannot wait to share with you the interviews and the people and just the complete magic that's available to us. And I look forward to meeting you on this journey. I look forward to sharing the deep, dark nooks and crannies. I'm excited to learn from you all. I'm excited to be in community with you. And until next time, may the cord that binds us to one another and to Source remind us that we are never alone, always guided, and always home. Until next time.